For more than 2 decades, Norm Abram welcomed millions of viewers into his workshop with the same calm smile, dependable routine, and genuine passion for woodworking. Every episode began with a simple reminder to wear safety glasses before he transformed ordinary pieces of lumber into beautiful, handcrafted furniture. There were no dramatic competitions, no celebrity appearances, and no manufacturer conflicts. Instead, viewers watched a master craftsman patiently explain every cut, every joint, and every step of the building process. That quiet formula turned the new Yankee Workshop into one of the most respected educational television shows ever produced. Week after week, families gathered around their televisions, not because they expected surprises, but because they appreciated consistency, craftsmanship, and honesty. The program became a trusted companion for woodworkers of every skill level, inspiring countless people to pick up tools and build something with their own hands. So when the series suddenly came to an end in 2009, fans were left asking one simple question. Why would such a successful show disappear when it still had millions of loyal viewers? The answer wasn't declining ratings or network politics. Instead, it was a much more personal story. To understand why the show ended, it's important to understand what made it so special in the first place. The new Yankee Workshop premiered in 1989, created by legendary television producer Russell Morrish, who had already found tremendous success with this old house. Morrish had watched Norm Abram work for years as the master carpenter on that program and recognized something extraordinary. Norm wasn't simply an expert woodworker. He possessed an incredible ability to teach. Even the most complicated woodworking techniques seemed approachable when he explained them. Whether he was cutting intricate dovetail joints, shaping elegant chair legs, or assembling complex cabinetry, he never rushed. Every instruction was delivered with patience, making beginners feel capable while still earning the respect of experienced craftsmen. Russell Morrish believed those qualities deserved their own television series. To make that vision a reality, an impressive workshop was constructed behind a historic Massachusetts farmhouse. Covering nearly 1,000 square feet, the building contained virtually every woodworking machine and hand tool imaginable. It wasn't just a television set. It was a fully functioning workshop where real furniture would be designed and built from start to finish. Each episode followed a carefully planned structure. Norm would first introduce a project, often traveling to museums, historic homes, or restoration sites to study an original antique piece. He explained its history, craftsmanship, and unique design features before returning to his workshop. Then the real work began. Instead of skipping difficult steps or relying on hidden assistance, viewers watched every stage of the construction process. Boards were measured, joints were cut, glue was applied, clamps tightened, and finishes carefully brushed on until the project was complete. Nothing felt artificial. The audience wasn't watching a television personality pretending to build furniture. They were watching one of America's finest craftsmen doing exactly what he had spent his life mastering. During an era when television increasingly focused on excitement, competition, and sensational entertainment, the new Yankee Workshop offered something completely different. It was peaceful. Watching Norm work became almost therapeutic. His calm voice, familiar plaid shirts, and unwavering attention to detail created an atmosphere that viewers genuinely looked forward to each week. Even people with no interest in woodworking often found themselves captivated simply because of the relaxing experience. By the early 1990s, the show had become a Saturday morning tradition for families across America. Some viewers tuned in to improve their woodworking skills. Others simply enjoyed spending half an hour watching someone perform exceptional work with complete confidence and humility. Norm never tried to impress anyone. He simply demonstrated what decades of experience looked like. That authenticity became the program's greatest strength. Throughout its remarkable 21-season run, Norm completed approximately 235 different projects on camera. The variety was extraordinary. One week he might build a classic shaker table. The next, an elegant Windsor chair. Later came blanket chests, bookcases, garden furniture, intricate mirrors, outdoor structures, and even a beautifully crafted sailing boat. Each project demonstrated traditional woodworking methods while encouraging viewers to develop their own skills. The show's influence extended far beyond television. Woodworking clubs reported increased membership after new episodes aired. Tool manufacturers noticed rising weekend sales whenever fresh projects appeared on television. Technical schools and woodworking instructors frequently credited Norm Abram for inspiring a new generation of students who wanted to learn traditional craftsmanship. Without seeking fame, Norm had quietly become one of the most influential figures in American woodworking. Although each episode lasted only about 22 minutes, producing one required an enormous amount of preparation. Before filming even began, suitable lumber had to be carefully selected. Not just any wood would do. Specific species, grain patterns, moisture content, and dimensions all had to match the project's requirements. Every board was inspected to ensure it would perform properly during construction. Next came the planning. Each build had to be redesigned specifically for television. Some woodworking processes naturally take several days because glue must cure or finishes need time to dry. Producers carefully determined how to present these steps without confusing viewers while still maintaining complete accuracy. Camera positions also required careful planning. Every saw cut, router pass, drill hole, and assembly sequence needed to be captured clearly so audiences could follow along from home. Lighting, tool placement, and workshop organization all had to remain consistent throughout filming. Despite all that preparation, one responsibility remained entirely on Norm's shoulders. He still had to build every project himself. Unlike many modern television programs, there were no hidden craftsmen completing difficult tasks behind the scenes. Every measurement was his. Every joint was cut by his own hands. Every mistake had to be corrected personally. If a board didn't fit perfectly, viewers saw Norm solve the problem exactly as any experienced woodworker would. That level of authenticity became the soul of the program. Experienced woodworkers immediately recognized they were watching genuine craftsmanship rather than staged entertainment. Even viewers with no woodworking experience could sense the difference. Norm wasn't performing for the cameras. He was simply doing real work while allowing millions of people to learn alongside him. That honesty built an extraordinary level of trust between Norm and his audience. But maintaining that standard required an incredible commitment, one that demanded far more from Norm than most viewers ever realized. From the comfort of their living rooms, viewers saw only a calm, confident craftsman creating beautiful furniture with remarkable ease. Every episode appeared effortless, almost relaxing. But behind the cameras, the new Yankee Workshop demanded an extraordinary amount of work that very few people ever realized. Producing each episode required far more than simply turning on the cameras and building a piece of furniture. Every project represented dozens of hours of preparation before filming even began. The production team first had to locate the proper lumber, often searching for specific hardwood species with the correct grain, color, and dimensions. Once the materials arrived, every board was carefully inspected to ensure it met Norm's exact standards. If the wood wasn't right, the finished project wouldn't be either. Then came the planning. Unlike a hobbyist working freely in a garage, Norm had to build each project in a way that made sense for television. Some woodworking tasks naturally take several days because glue needs time to cure or finishes require multiple coats. The production crew had to carefully organize every stage of the build so viewers could easily follow the process while still seeing authentic craftsmanship. Camera operators also faced their own challenge. Every important cut, measurement, and assembly had to be filmed from the perfect angle. Lighting had to remain consistent throughout hours of filming, while microphones captured Norm's explanations over the constant sound of saws, routers, and sanders. It was an incredibly detailed operation. But through all of it, one thing never changed. Norm Abram was still the person doing every bit of woodworking. Many television programs rely heavily on assistants or off-camera professionals to complete complicated work before filming resumes. That was never the case here. If viewers watched a mortise being cut, Norm cut it himself. If a complicated dovetail joint appeared on screen, those were his hands guiding the chisel. When furniture pieces needed careful fitting or adjustments, he personally solved every problem exactly as any experienced cabinetmaker would. Nothing was staged. Nothing was secretly finished off camera. That level of authenticity separated the new Yankee Workshop from virtually every other instructional program on television. Professional woodworkers immediately recognized they were watching genuine craftsmanship. Even beginners, who didn't yet understand every technique, could sense that everything felt real. Norm wasn't pretending to know his craft. He had spent decades mastering it. That honesty created a level of trust that audiences rarely experience with television personalities. People believed him because they could see the quality of his work with their own eyes. But maintaining that level of excellence came with a significant price. While the new Yankee Workshop alone demanded a full-time commitment, it wasn't Norm's only responsibility. At the very same time, he continued appearing regularly on This Old House. That meant balancing two separate television productions, each with its own filming schedule, deadlines, travel requirements, and production teams. For many years, Norm essentially worked two demanding full-time jobs simultaneously. The difference between the two programs was enormous. On This Old House, Norm served as the master carpenter among a larger group of experts. Responsibility was shared between hosts, contractors, and specialists. On the new Yankee Workshop, everything depended on one person. Norm designed the projects. He explained every technique. He completed every build. He hosted the program. He carried the entire production on his shoulders. If Norm couldn't film, there was no show. That level of responsibility continued year after year, season after season, for more than 20 years. While viewers admired the finished episodes, few understood just how physically demanding the work had become. Woodworking is rewarding, but it is also physically exhausting. Hours of standing, lifting heavy timber, bending over workbenches, pushing lumber through machines, sanding, chiseling, and assembling large furniture pieces place enormous strain on the human body. Norm experienced every bit of it. The workshop itself featured a hard concrete floor. During production, he often stood on that unforgiving surface for 8 to 12 hours every single day. What seemed manageable during one season slowly became years, then decades. Eventually, those countless hours began taking their toll. Every repetitive motion, cutting, drilling, sanding, and planing, placed additional stress on his shoulders, elbows, wrists, and knees. Lifting thick hardwood boards became more difficult. Long hours leaning over benches strained his back. Even walking around the workshop became increasingly uncomfortable after standing on concrete day after day. One of the most persistent problems he developed was plantar fasciitis, a painful condition affecting the feet that commonly results from prolonged standing on hard surfaces. Anyone who has experienced it knows how even simple movements can become painful. Yet viewers never saw any of this. Norm remained exactly the same on camera. He smiled. He explained every step with patience. He never rushed. He never complained. Even during the final seasons, the quality of his work looked every bit as impressive as it had in the very beginning.